Last night, when flicking through the channels on TV, looking for something interesting to watch, I caught a moment of 60 Minutes report on the Solomon Islands. And the most shocking part about all of this, it was totally and utterly misleading. That, I don't know what the size of the audience is for 60 Minutes. I do not know the background of the people involved in this show. But they obviously do not do research. They just go about on hearsay and lip service to an ideology about climate change. Whether climate's changing or not is irrelevant to the fact of the Solomon Islands, where it sits in the water. It's called isostasy, a new static fluctuation. And it's relevant to certain attributes to the Earth's surface itself being plastic. The Earth's surface is mobile and it undulates depending on where it is involved with the subduction zones on the plate tectonic activity. And the Pacific Rim where the Solomon Islands are on, down there with Vanuatu and New Zealand, there's a chain of islands all the way down, basically on the Pacific Rim. And as part of the tectonic plates go under the Pacific Rim, some land goes down and some land comes up. And you can go to Tanna and Vanuatu and see that that land is coming up. It's come up a considerable amount. In fact, where Captain Cook went, Resolution Bay in Tanna, it can no longer get the ship Resolution in the bay anymore because the floor came up about 25 meters since he was there. So that island's rising. Solomon Islands are going down. The east coast of Australia is going down because it's subducted. It's on the plate. The Australian continental plate goes subducted underneath the Pacific plate. There's more to it than this because it's like you have to understand Archimedes' theory to then understand a bit more about it, because from the last ice age, when all those the ice or 2 miles of ice compressed all the continents up the north and the northern hemisphere, it compressed them hundreds of meters into the ground, into the earth itself. It compressed the crust, and they're still lifting up after all these years. They're still rising. The Scandinavian shelf, for instance, is still rising after the ice age has left. And it's already a long slow process. And as that water all comes up, as that land rises, well, it displaces the water, and the water rises somewhere, like the Florida coast or something like that. When the low-lying places, it's just a natural progression. The Earth is not some static zone where everything stays the same all the time. That people are expecting to stay perfect all the time and perfectly the same all the time, really don't understand what's really going on. And 60 Minutes should actually, they're adults, and they should act in an adult manner and do responsible reporting and responsible research before they make these reports, which are basically what? Scaremongering to raise more, no doubt involved with raising electricity prices in Australia. The same people are saying, oh, we worry about wages and fair go. What are involved intrinsically in raising electricity prices? Because somehow that's going to change, save the climate. When the actual fact, there's no connection between the Solomons sinking, and just say they're sinking in the water, which is the correct thing to say, rather than the water rising, because you go down to Vanuatu and to Tanna, the island of Tanna, and there's some other low-lying islands I'm not going to mention in Vanuatu area because the people like to live in their privacy, but their islands aren't going on the water either. And there's islands in Fiji called Nasoso Island, just behind Nandi. Australians are buying $1 million properties there. That's about as low island as you can get. Is that going under? It's unfortunate that people jump into this climate change thing without understanding the geological factor involved in Earth's in the climatic history of the Earth anyway. And the changes, the isostasy and eustatic fluctuation, which no one seems to want to mention, and the fact they don't mention these things, they are ignorant of the ideas or the geological aspects of the Earth's tectonic plate movement, which it also affects climate because of the amount of heat released from the oceans as the plates go underneath each. One plate goes under another. The massive amount of friction, geological friction there, what melts all the rock as it goes under, gives off massive amounts of heat into the ocean. And that's not even mentioned by all these people carrying on about climate change. There's far more significant heat given on to the oceans than there is any heat compressed into the ocean through CO2 by many, many margins of difference. Another thing about the report on the Solomons shows some absolutely pristine reefs, beautiful reefs, and that's where, wow, what a fabulous place to go snorkeling. Absolutely beautiful place. And therefore, it's the water temperature in the Solomons where the reefs are so pristine any different into the barrier reef where it's bleaching? Because this is it, the reefs exist within a variable temperature all over the place, and some places it's warmer and cooler. What it's suggesting is the barrier reef, what's causing a bleach, is runoff from the farms in Queensland. Hundred years of putting superphosphates and herbicides and pesticides on the farms in Queensland is now making its way into the reefs and bleaching the barrier reef, because you have to look at things in logical context. There's a science to this, but what's the science is not saying. The science doesn't take away from the fact you can have a logical approach and common sense understanding to things, which it all gets down to in the end. The spotting anomalies is what it's all about. And the anomaly is that the 60 Minutes did a report on Solomons without understanding the background. Isostasy, where the Earth's crust undulates as it gets involved with tectonic movements.